Hey guys, welcome back. I just wanted to talk on sort of the housing crisis again. I was watching a video today, the Outback Crisis YouTube channel, and he was talking about the housing crisis and how by 2030 it's going to be worse than what it already is. There is a lot of speculation. There is a lot of people trying to understand why or how this is all happening. Some are just pinning it on immigration, which, I do agree with. I think, if we stop people coming into this country and foreign ownership, we wouldn't be in this mess to begin with. But then the people that are thinking that there's about 1 million or so houses out there that aren't even being lived in that are owned by foreign investors. Now that I don't know is true or not. That could be just pure speculation. However, we've got to go off based on what's actually real, what's actually tangible, and what's based on the facts and data. And the data is saying that with all these people that are trying to move here, we've got the lack of infrastructure. We've got something called capital shelling, which means we've got too many people in a cafe operating a coffee machine in our society. And that's what is happening in Perth in particular, and all throughout Adelaide cities. Now, a lot of people from over east, from Sydney, Melbourne, Queensland to some degree, with the floods that happen religiously throughout winter, are moving to Perth or Adelaide. And what we're experiencing is we've got too many people moving here and not enough houses being built. There are houses being built, but the red tape outweighs everything else. And so we've got people trying to move here to start a new life. A lot of them are from New Zealand. A lot of people use New Zealand as a backdoor to get into Australia through immigration and so forth. Not looking at you, India. But this is what's happening. And if we head down this path, we're essentially annihilating ourselves, shooting ourselves in the foot. People will not have children, but the people that will have children are the people that have immigrated to Australia. And it's going to reach a point where people are going to be like, okay, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to immigrate to Australia unless the government gives me money. What's happening in the UK, like what's happening there. But we can't afford to do that. We've already got so many people on the dole already that it's just going to be building a bubble of welfare, which is basically what's happening to the NDIS. So many government workers are propping up the system, but the unemployment rate will increase. Mark my words, in 2026, unemployment will go up. And it's not a matter of when. It's not a matter of if, but when. You know what I mean? That's what we're heading towards. That's what people, I think, are slowly awakening to. Now, those that do have a house already, they're fine. It's all good. Doesn't matter. But it does matter to those people that have children, grandkids, that are going to be turning, 18 soon, or they're in that sort of 18 to 25 to 30 bracket that, are looking for a house. And the hope is dissipating. So when you kill a society's sense of hope amongst the young, what incentive do they have to work? They have none. They have absolutely none. And unfortunately for them, unfortunately for those families or for those grandkids of families, they will be living with their, respective mother and father. Assumably, hopefully they're not divorced, but if they're divorced, then it's going to be quite a tough life. It's going to be a very difficult life. And it's going to be a life amongst a lot of people, and it's going to create a division. It's going to create a division of the haves and the have-nots. And that's what is happening. This is no joke, guys. This is no joke. This is not me trying to be, doomsday or doom and gloom. I'm being a realist. I'm being a person of fact and figures. It's not a hard concept to grasp, but unfortunately, it is for those in Parliament. It is for those in politics. It is in those for the Labor government or the Liberal government. Both sides are poison chalices. They are doomed to fail. They do not want a strong independent government like One Nation coming through. That is their biggest fear. But I can guarantee you one thing. Pauline Hanson, and if Barnaby Joyce chooses to go to One Nation, he will fight. He will fight. There are good people out there in politics. Jared Rennick, who unfortunately didn't even get a seat in Parliament, unfortunately. But I really liked his sort of way he went about it. Bob Catter, even though he's a bit of a mad hatter, he actually means well. He's a patriot. There's not enough patriots in Australia. And the reason why they don't want patriots is because they don't want people standing up for this country. Because the big corporates stand up for this country now, but they don't want the people to succeed. They want you to be slaves to the system. They want you to be debt slaves. They want you to own nothing and be happy. That is their motto. That is their goal. And by 2030, the UN agenda is to own nothing and be happy. They want a digital state. Digital IDs are going to be our new bread and butter. Look at China. Look at their credit score system. Look at how they can replace money, the fiat currency, which is going to be replaced very shortly, mark my words. They're going to be replacing it with that. Like I said in my previous videos, go and look through my other videos that I made on this channel, my playlist. This is what they're planning. This is their end goal. And the whole thing about this is because we're trying to keep afloat the older generation that have retired. Now, it's not to blame them. It's that's just a matter of fact. They were a bigger generation. The baby boomers were a bigger generation. Now we're trying to prop them up, and we're not going to have enough babies to do that. There's always a generation that suffers in a cycle, okay? And unfortunately, this generation coming through, my generation, we are going to be the forgotten generation. We are going to be the forgotten generation because there is such a big rate of inflation and we've been shortchanged. And I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. I'm just being realistic. That this is all by design, and it's by poor management, poor government, and greed. It's greed by the older Australians. Not all of them are bad. I'm not trying to throw people under the bus, but that's just the reality of it. That's why we have high immigration. We don't want a recession. We don't want a depression. But if you ask me, we actually need it. A globe, the way we've handled COVID, we actually need a big reset. But the reset they have planned is not to our benefit. It's for their benefit, to line their pockets, the 1%ers. They want to line their pockets. It's all about that big corporate. They want to line their pockets. And unfortunately, it's the everyday Australian, you and I, that are coughing it up. And it's the inflation that incurs every time the wealth of transfer is transferred, I guess, the transfer of wealth. So that is where we are at. And I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer. I'm just saying, look, guys, look at the bigger picture. This is Australia. This is why people are going to Southeast Asia. I'm not promoting it. I think Australia is fantastic. We've got great air. We got, infrastructure's lacking, but at least we've got, we got Woolies and Coles that rip us off. But you know what I mean? It's life in Australia is okay, but it's just the select few that have ruined it, and it's the government. It is the government. It doesn't matter what side you vote. I don't freaking care. I don't care. It's not left or right anymore. It's the government. The government hate us all. Albanese's a puppet. He's a little gimp. You know what I mean? And he doesn't care. One day he's supporting Hawthorn Football Club. The next he's supporting a different team. He doesn't even know what side he's on in Parliament. He's sold to the highest bidder. All politicians are prostitutes. They are sold to the highest bidder. And that's the matter of fact. That is the fact of the matter right there. Okay, so every time you vote for independent, vote One Nation, because it's a choice, it's a poison chalice, it's a poison apple. Australian politics is absolutely corrupt. There's corruption everywhere you go in the world, not just in one country, but I tell you what, Australia is right up there as the most corrupt, politicians we have in this country are the most corrupt, 100%. They've sold us out. They've sold us to the highest bidder. And it's China. It's China they've sold us out to. Just like the rest of, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, all those small little countries that have basically been put in debt by China, and now they're basically owned by China, outrightly so, because they're in that much debt to China. And they've been rebuilding their cities, rebuilding their roads, rebuilding their infrastructure. That is the path we're heading down here in Australia. We are literally owned by them. And one day, if China gets pissed off, they will just stop ordering iron ore from our mining sector, which is based here in WA, and everything will just turn to shit. We are like that fragile as a country. It's not even funny. It wouldn't take much to collapse our country. It's just not built as strong as it used to back in the 80s. GDP since the 80s has been going down at a rapid rate. Look up the graph, look at the data. It's unnerving, and I can understand why people are leaving this country with their family. They might have 1 or 2 kids. They are moving to Bali. They are moving to Thailand and Vietnam. They're moving to Cambodia. They're moving to Paraguay and South America. They're getting the fuck out of here. And it's all for a good reason, because they know that this country is a ticking time bomb. And I tell you what, if you don't have a contingency plan, if you guys that are watching this video now don't know what to do, it's gonna get messy. 2026 is gonna be a catalyst year. 2027 is gonna be catastrophic, and 2030, well, let's just hope we all make it to then.